All right, and so now we're going to move on to actually building out the entire home. So we're going to draw the walls, we're going to insert windows, we're going to input R values, doors, things like that. We'll take it one step at a time. But real quick, we'll go ahead and we'll just zoom in. So if you look here at the top, magnifying glass, I showed you this a while ago. Use that to zoom in, not the rollerball. And I like to start, I don't know why, top left-hand corner, and I like to work my way down like this. Let me show you. So I've adjusted my screen so that I'm starting in the top left-hand corner of the draw screen, right here where you can see the garage here. Now, the PDF file is so large that it actually, in order to get it to fit within the screen, it cuts off a piece of the garage. That's not a big deal. I'll show you real quick. What I'll do is I'll just go ahead and draw the garage in. Here we go. Like that. All right. And that's okay because the garage is not going to be included. In fact, I'll go ahead and take it out. I'll right click inside that box that I just drew. I will label it garage. I will say include in calculations, no. I will select room heating condition, none. Room cooling condition, none. Room type, garage. Okay, so it is no longer going to be in my load calculation. Square footage won't be included in the heating and cooling square footage, but it still needs to be here. At least something needs to be here, because if you look, let's say I drew a couple more real quick. Let's say this is the mudroom, and let's say this is the laundry, and these two are going to overlap, but I'll show you how to fix that in a second. And then this is the hallway right here. I'll just pull it all the way down like that. Okay, I now have 4 total rooms, the garage and then 3 rooms that are actually conditioned. Now, I want to fix this overlap right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click in the garage, and I'm going to go up here to the edit points option, which you'll find here. And I'll click that. And you're going to see on the draw screen a bunch of little points that pop up on the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start grabbing in between 2 points. So right here in the middle, I'm going to grab this. You'll see my cursor pop up, and I'll just bend it up. And then I'll take in between this one, and I'll bend it out. And then I'll take in between these 2 points, and I'll bend it out, always starting in the center of 2 points. Now that I've done that, I've edited the wall to make a geometric shape that's not a perfect square, so that I can allow for the laundry room to have all the space that it needs. Now, I wanted to show you, if we look at this room here, this is the mud room. So I'm going to left click, and I'll just start typing mud, and then I'll hit enter. Hall, again, I'll left click on the hall, select it, just start typing and hit enter. And this is going to be the laundry, left click, just start typing and hit enter. Now, I will right click and go to wall, and I just want to show you this real quick before we move on. You can see that there are 2 different types of walls here. One is an exterior wall. So this one here, wall type 1, is going to be your exterior wall. And wall type 2 is going to be your interior wall that touches the garage. So it's important when we move forward to remember we're going to have to come back to this. And the reason why it's important that you draw the garage anyway is because there's going to be less heat moving through that wall type 2 than there is moving through that wall type 1, and we have to take that into account. Of course, because the wall is connected to the garage, and the garage is shaded from direct sunlight, and therefore not as much of a hot wall as, say, an exterior wall that may be in contact with direct sunlight. So now that I have shown you how to use the edit points feature and explained why the garage must still be drawn even if you can't draw the whole thing, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to start drawing rooms. Now, again, I like to start from the top left hand and work my way down. I'm just following the drawing here, and I'll just start adding all of these rooms in like this. keep scrolling down as I keep adding rooms. And again, here's another situation where I might use the edit points feature. Just, again, starting in the center of 2 points, pulling it up, center of 2 points, pulling it out, center of 2 points, pulling it out. And now we're in the kitchen. I'll stop the kitchen right about here. Yep, on that wall. And then I'll start the dining room here. And I'll do the butler pantry and connect these two spaces. Now we have a pretty large living room here, so I'm just going to pull it. There we go. So you can see once you get used to this and you've done this a few times, really you can draw the house pretty quick. Doesn't take long at all. Just keep on drawing, keep on pulling. Another situation where we might want to use edit points. Start in the center, pull it out, in the center, center, center. There we go. All right, now there's just a little bit of dead space right here in between these two walls. Not really a big deal. I'm just going to choose to include it in another room. Just using my edit points, pull it up. But I don't want us to just leave this big hole in the envelope. So I'm just going to put it in that bedroom right there. Not really going to make any difference at all. And go back to drawing. A couple of closets here. Bedroom 3. Hallway. Now, I'm going to show you another cool feature that you can use. I'm going to include this closet in the hallway. No need to make it its own. But I'm going to go back up to my toolbar real quick. And I'm going to select this cursor icon. And I'm going to hold the Shift key on my keyboard. And you can see that I, at the moment, have room 22 selected. I'm going to hold Shift while that room is selected and select room 21. And now you can see that I have 2 rooms selected here at the same time. And I'm going to go up to my toolbar and I'm going to look for the Merge Room tool, which is right here. And I'm going to select Merge Rooms. And now what you're going to see is room 22 is now the entire hallway. So room 21 no longer exists. It's just room 22. It's important. This may come up sometimes whenever you're drawing out rooms. The first room that you select is always going to be considered the primary room, and that one's going to eat the other one. And so if you're trying to, let's say you're trying to add something to your living room, click the living room first and then select the smaller of the 2 rooms, the one that you don't care if it disappears, and then merge those 2 rooms. Because if you do it the opposite, your living room will disappear and it will take all of the values that you've input. So little tip, keep you from making a mistake that could cost you some time. The first room that you select is always the primary room. All right, so at this point, we're pretty much done. Let's just check, make sure I haven't missed anything. But that is your entire house drawn out, and probably took me less than 5 minutes. Not a big deal, though it went pretty quick. We're gonna, now that we've drawn the envelope, we're gonna talk about walls and R values. So we're gonna go ahead and add insulation to our walls and to our ceilings before we move on to the next step. Now what I want to show you is this doesn't have to be difficult, right? This house is gonna be R15 walls and R38 ceiling. I want you to right click here on the sheet tree where it says level 1 building. Click on building and then right click, and it's going to bring up this box right here with a bunch of options. Go to select rooms, and you're going to see that all of your rooms have just been highlighted. I want you to hold Shift and simply get rid of the garage. Left click in the garage. That will take the garage out of the selection. Now this is called a global selection, so you can select and make changes to a whole bunch of rooms at one time. You're going to choose any room and right click inside of any selected room. It'll bring you back to the property sheet. You're going to select wall type 1. This is your exterior wall, and you're going to choose whatever the exterior, the framing, and the insulation value is. So if we go back to our plans, we're going to look and see. Looks like we got a whole lot of brick here. Whole lot of brick. So we're going to set the primary construction to brick. We can always go back in and fill in, but even it's painted brick. So really looks like the only area on the entire house that isn't brick is this fiber cement side entry door right here, okay? That's the only place. Everything else looks like brick or painted brick. So now that we know that, we are going to go back to our draw screen. I've created up here in our library, I've created my own kind of custom templates, and I have R15 2x4 construction, 16 on center, R15. Now you can see that I've named it very specific, so I know exactly what I'm getting when I click it. I did that on purpose. I didn't want to be thinking like, what was that template? Like, it's a brick 1. I don't want to name it a brick 1. I want to name it brick R15 2x4 16 on center. Save you some time. 4-inch brick, 1/2-inch wood, R15, 1/2-inch gypsum, no exterior board, 2x4 framing, 16 on center, so on and so forth. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And I just changed the exterior wall on the entire house to R15 and brick. Now, the truth is I could have left the garage in. The only reason I didn't was because I was about to put some insulation in the ceiling. And the ceiling in the garage typically doesn't have insulation. And R15, R38. There we go. So I'm going to go to the ceiling and add insulation to the ceiling. Asphalt. No ceiling when it says roof insulation. It's talking about the deck. So if you had spray foam on the roof deck, that would be roof insulation. Is it a vented attic or is it encapsulated? Ceiling insulation values R38. Ceiling finish, I'm going to click 1/2-inch gypsum right here. This is the interior finish. And that's about it. I'm going to click OK. And that's it. So I've drawn the entire house. I've built the envelope. I've insulated the walls. I've put my cladding on the outside. Chose brick. We know that there's one little area on the side, which I can go ahead and fix that for you now, but it's going to be this mud room right here. So I'll select it by itself, and I'll go to wall, and I'll go to wall type 1. Okay, so I want to open wall type 1. That's brick. All right, and I'm just going to change this wall type to cement fiber wall. And oh, that's not the right template. Let's see, cement fiber wall. Okay. I'm not sure what happened to my template, so I'm just going to select one. You can use radio buttons here, frame. If you want to, use wood, sheathing, R15, 1/2-inch gypsum, 2x4 16, match the rest of the construction types. When I use fiber cement, I typically like to use custom values according to Manual J. This particular wall is going to be a 0.078 CLTD group GD, wall or partition framing 15 in the wall like that. And that's typically how I do that, but you can definitely just use the radio buttons. Much easier when you're getting started and you don't know the codes or the insulation values. Then you can just use the radio buttons. Not a big deal. One more thing that I want to show you is I'm going to select, going back to what we were talking about previously, all of the rooms that are touching our garage, the mud, the hall, and the laundry. I'm going to select all 3 of these. Now, when I want to select multi-select, I'm going to select a room, hold down shift, select my second room, and select my third room, and now I have a multi-selection of rooms. Now, I'm going to go to wall, and you're going to notice that there is a wall type 2 right here. You don't have a wall type 2 on most rooms, but any room that is touching a non-conditioned space is going to have a wall type 2, and we have to address it as well. So I'm going to open it up. And I'm just going to build it out the way most garage walls are built out. 1/2 inch. Let's say 1/2 inch. There is no sheathing, right? It's just going to be sheetrock, framing, insulation, sheetrock. So I'll put R15, 1/2 inch on the outside, 1/2 inch on the inside, no exterior board, 2x4 framing, 16 on center, and that's it. And so if we look at our picture in the bottom here, we know that typically the wall adjacent to the garage, that's what it looks like. Sheetrock, stud framing, insulation, sheetrock. And that's what I'm going to set it to. I'm going to click OK. It's going to give me this message, which is just telling us that, hey, we recognize that this wall, type 2, is next to an unconditioned space and is not being hit by direct sunlight. So we're going to adjust the exterior adjacent space temperatures. This is no longer going to be 94.1. It's going to be 91 degrees. And so it's just going to change the amount of heat load moving through that specific area of the house, which is what we want. We're going to click OK, and we are done. So we now built the envelope, insulated the walls, insulated the ceiling, and that is going to conclude this portion of the Manual J, and we'll move on in the next section to building out the windows and building out the doors.